they start using it, because you can wipe it off. These little $4 or $5 boards, that's too expensive for me. So I trashed this idea very quickly of buying these mini trifold boards. And of course I went to the dollar store, and the dollar stores now have the science trifold boards, but they're the big boards. I don't need a big board, but I do have a pair of scissors or an X-Acto knife, and so I just cut it in half, and I made 2 out of 1. So for 50 cents, I made a trifold board, and I was able to cover 6 boards with 1 roll of contact paper. So, I mean, that gives you a lot to work with if you're working in groups. If you're not working in groups, you can work in centers and just have 1 center, however you want to do it. Another thing that I found out in doing this is, depending on how and where the kids position the camera and the characters that they're going to use for their stories when they record, this doesn't have what I need for the bottom. So I ended up, just getting a piece of cardboard and covering it in green. Well, and I tried to carry that back over here today, and I had damaged the corners by shoving it in my suitcase. And I was like, it needs to be small and compact like this. So I took a piece of real thick construction paper or tag board, poster board, and I took that, and what I did is I set this on it and I traced it. Okay, so in essence it was like having 2 pieces. So one was made of a thinner piece of construction paper, but it was covered in this color, and then one was this trifold board covered in this color. And what's nice about contact paper is sticky, and so you can attach pieces to pieces with the contact paper, and it's not like using tape, but it's colored tape in essence. So I needed a base. So what I decided to do was take that base and attach it to the top trifold. So it looks like it's a large, big trifold board, but it has a real thin piece. So when it's folded up, it fits inside, right? So I've looked different and discovered different ways of doing this, and depending upon what the students are doing, I first started out with everything being in a box, and the box didn't work because the box is too big. And then I started out like this, and everything kept folding up on itself. And then I realized all it really needs to be is a flat base and a flat back. So I turned the thing backwards, and it stands. So it stands much better now. It has the size that it needs, it has the base that it needs, and students can use it in it. And because I'm turning the flaps backwards, it stands up and it holds up a lot better. Okay, then we have to have characters, and we have to have props, and we have to have all these things when we're doing our movie. So this is one idea. And then I decided to even scale it down further. I tried a paper box. Well, you know how big paper boxes are, right? And if you have 8 groups in 4 classes, and everybody wants their own paper box, you now have a paper box land in your classroom. You don't have any room. So that's when I discovered that I thought it would be really cool to have a movie set in a pizza box. So I got this pizza box, and I went ahead, and you can cover it with green paper, green construction paper. You can still cover it with the green contact paper. If you want to do one side, you could have one side for the green screen, and this other side could be a permanent fixture for a background. So if they wanted to, with construction paper, create something that was like a picture and put it here, then you'd have 2 scenes and 2 sets within the entire thing. But for me, what this allowed was every character that we create, because this is what we're creating with is 2-dimensional characters. When I was a kid, it was called, what was I going to say? It was called, what do I call it? No, puppets, paper dolls. It was paper dolls, okay? So when I was a kid, it was called paper dolls. You can't tell an 8th grade student that today we're going to make a movie with paper dolls. No. And you can't even tell an 8th grade student you're going to make a movie today with puppets. They're not going to do it. But you can say you are going to make a movie with green screen and miniature using 2-dimensional characters. And it's the same exact thing. And they're like, huh? It's paper. 2-dimensional. So they get really excited, and it was amazing how excited they got in the 8th grade class that I worked with, in particular on the Civil War. So because they're two-dimensional characters, everything fits into this box. So when you're done practicing, recording, you put all your characters, all your props in the box, you label the side of the box. All you've created in your classroom is a storage for a bunch of pizza boxes, which is a lot easier to use. Now, if you don't want to do this, and you don't want, because kids want their stuff in a compact, easy to locate place, this is the best way to do it. You can do it in a shoebox. You can do it in whatever you want, and if you just want one big box for your class, that's okay too. But I like these two options only because of the storage, the way that things can be put away. And in an elementary classroom, in any classroom in reality, you have so much space, you need big props, right? No, you want things that you can put away. So that's what I started with. Okay, so let me talk about the little two-dimensional characters, and then we'll go to the next thing. So I like two-dimensional characters, and I like to have students create their own two-dimensional characters for the story that they're going to tell, whether it's a retelling or a true story that has the entire components of a true story through the story arc and everything. I like to have them create things. But we have students that, in certain grade levels, I'm going to start out with our little guys. Sometimes when they draw characters or people, their characters and people are what in the early years? Stick people, right? The stick people aren't very easy to cut out without cutting the sticks of the people. So in our classrooms and in our schools, many of our schools have die cut machines. And if you need to start out with something that's already done, there are people die cuts. So you can, these I bought in the store, in a pack, in a craft store. So you can use these. There are bigger ones, but you have to think functionality and size-wise. If you make these people bigger, how much bigger do you need to make this in order for it to work? So you have to think, and I'm thinking in miniature, in small scale. Now what's nice about these little guys is you can take pictures of your students in the classroom. They can cut out their head and glue it on and then decorate the body, and they can be in whatever costume they need. They can trace this, they can draw on a costume. So that gives you the starting point for your little guys and gals that, you know, cutting is not their thing yet, or just having that. If you want to go to the next level, I mean, you can have your kids where they trace clothes and they add layers of clothes. I used to do this when I was a little girl, fashion plates. And we put our little things in and we find a texture and we trace it with a crayon, and then we cut it out and we put all these textures together. Well, there are kits still in bookstores that have these little people that you can make clothes for. You can go to a fabric store or even a wallpaper store and ask them for their old samples of wallpaper, and there's some really cool textures for clothes and things like that. It's the same flat person, just added, you know, more dimension, more color, more grown-up looking. But if you want to go totally hands-on the way that they want to do it, this is from the 8th grade unit on Civil War. This is John C. Calhoun, Stephen Douglas, and Zachary Taylor. And what they decided to do as the students, they found the faces online and they printed off the faces. And then they drew the body with a stencil of which one that matched. And this was their theme. So all of their characters in this theme were exactly the same, dressed in these dark black suits, but their faces were real faces from the internet. Here's another one, Henry Clay. And then, of course, you can go to the next level where everything is draw your little character guy and then cut it out to be the shape you want, knowing that if you draw it, it has to be a certain size. So if you have your paper already made small, then that lets them know how big or how small you need it. So it doesn't matter what your two-dimensional character looks like. It can be a two-dimensional character like this. I mean, if you have artists and kids in your classroom that can really draw, this is nothing more than an outline, like a coloring book, colored in with crayon and outlined with a marker. And it looks like a grown-up did it, but it's not, you know. The next thing that you need to think about your characters is how long is this project going to take? And how long do these characters have to last? Because if you make them out of paper, they're not going to last very long. Because what happens to paper? It gets bent, it gets torn, it gets erased and scribbled. So I like to use cardstock or thick poster board so that the characters have more sturdiness to them. And I realized later on that when they started moving the characters, even on cardstock, they flop. So I found in the dollar store little baby popsicle sticks and large sticks. And so when it comes down to it, they have some stability by just gluing a stick on the back. That, you know, whether it's a popsicle stick, a little ice cream cup stick, or these mini popsicle sticks. They also have little boxes of flat toothpicks in the dollar store, so you can get little boxes of the flat toothpicks. They're wooden so that they glue right on and makes it easy to use. So then we have some characters in our story, and this is how they work. So you're putting your characters in your story. Well, I have a little problem right here. And my little problem is that I'm holding my characters with my hand, and I really need to work or manipulate my characters. Whether my characters are doing this or this, I need a way to get them in and out of the frame for the story. So I went and found some chopsticks and some different color straws. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to use these chopsticks that I found at the dollar store because it gives you 24 when you tear them apart. And what's nice about them is they have a flat end, and I'm going to tape this to that. And I'm going to move it in and out. But I'm green screening. And the first thing that happens is the stick shows up. Okay? So I totally ditched this concept. And when you have lots of friends that go places, you find out that different stores have different colored straws. And Starbucks has green straws. So this was the lifesaver because Starbucks has green straws. If you decide to use blue as your background, because many programs, this program we're going to use, which is Doing, it allows you to use any background as your base chroma. You go to Zaxby's and you find a blue straw. Zaxby's. Zaxby's, the chicken, home of the chicken. And it's in here somewhere. It's all right. Just trust me, they're blue. If you decide that Zaxby, they have blue straws at Zaxby's. At Sonic and at Target, they have red and orange straws. So depending upon what color you need, straws are awesome because you just kind of get a few extras every time you go. Now, I don't know if the Starbucks here really has any more straws left because everybody's been bringing me straws. So if you need a straw to remind yourself, you may come and take one of mine that they came from Starbucks. And what's really cool is depending upon the drink you get or the straw area you take them from, there's 2 different sizes. So make sure you get the longer ones because the shorter ones are nice, but your fingers are still going to kind of be in it at the beginning. So think about what size because the straws come in many sizes. And then when you start also adding props and needing to do things, Starbucks also makes green coffee stirrers. And if you need your character to have something floating above them, you can attach your coffee stirrers. Like if I wanted some smoke or something to be floating above his head, I can cut the straw, I can use the coffee stirrers. Anything that's green will be chromed out based on what we're doing. So there's a lot of ways to do things by just asking or just taking. So let's see, what colors has the green? All right. Now, if you don't get enough straws for everybody to have their own straw, that becomes an issue because you end up taping the straws on and tearing the straw off and taping the straw on and tearing the straw off, which with paper, that means you're going to take paper with you after so often. So that's another reason I put the sticks on. But then I decided I was going to, in the dollar store, buy Velcro. Okay? And I could Velcro my straws. But I did eventually find little kits of dowels that were green. So now I have permanent green sticks. And you could paint them yourself if you want to. There's just wooden dowels. They just happen to be green. And I just said I'm wanting them because I didn't want to paint anything. And so I took the Velcro, the hook and eye end, and I put it on the stick, and then this is the smooth end. So now if I'm going to work this character, I stick the Velcro on the character, and when I'm going to bring, if I'm standing behind my green screen, so if this was on a desk, then this character can come in just like this. And the stick is coming from the top. Freeze. Okay, if the character needed to go from one side of the screen to the other side of the screen and walk through and past, but I didn't have a way to get from the top, I can always take the Velcro, take the stick off and maneuver this character from side to side. It doesn't really matter. It's just the way that, however this setup is going to be for your class, for your students. I like the overhead reach, like this. It makes it easier, but there can't be 4 people reaching overhead. So sometimes if some people come in from the side, it makes it just fine. And if you put 2 sticks, one going one direction and one going the other, then you have the ability to walk across the set. Oh, you're going to stay there. And you have a person on the other side getting ready to help it continue across the set. Okay? But what happens if I keep pushing it? My hand is in the way. Well, guess what they have at the dollar store? At the dollar store in the beauty area, they have these massage gloves where you're supposed to lotion your hands up, and put them in the gloves with the lotion on them and massage your hand, and it makes your hand nice and smooth. Well, just don't use the lotion, just use the glove. And now when you move your character, and if your hand gets in there, it won't get in there. If you want a floating wrist, it works. It cuts off your hand. And if you'll notice, there's 3 shades of green right here. And I have not had a problem using the 3 shades of green, because what I like about the green screen by doing is that it's got a sensitivity so that you can, increase or decrease that chroma. So that's how I set up the set.
Can you hold it again with your glove?
Yes, I can hold it again with my glove. I will go from the top like this.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, some other things that may happen because, in your classroom, you have this spotlight on you all the time, which makes your lighting in your classroom just so fantastic. You don't have to worry about that at all. Well, if you do, then while you're in the dollar store, you look and see about getting some additional lighting that might help you just to light your scene. And there's 2 ways to light your scene. When using green screen, you need to light the background first and then the character. Otherwise, you're going to get a shadow if you just light the character. So you can see that we are just lighting the character because we have a spotlight. So when I move this, you notice there's a shadow, okay? And if this was lit correctly, you would not see a shadow if the background was lit. And it's going to be kind of hard in here, but you can get your little lights and you can position them so that if you have to get rid of some of the background light, you use lights. There are some, this one just lays on the ground or attaches to the side. These little clip lights, this one's batteries are dead, they just clip right here, and I shine them straight down the green screen so that it lights them going down, and it gives it a little bit of, so you can kind of see how the light's on that one, and it will help fix that glare. Flashlights work just fine with the goosenecks. You just set your flashlight here and just kind of gooseneck it up there. Just know that if your characters are blending in with the background, it's because you need some front light. If the characters are getting a green halo, you need some backlight because of the way that the light is being diffused around the green. And again, dollar store. Okay, so then from here, you need to be able to think about what you're going to do. Oh, and while I'm on these little characters, if you do this without the students looking, in the bookstores, they have these little kits now. This is from US Born, B-O-R-N-E, activities, and it says sticker dolly dressing. You cannot take the sticker dolly dressing books into the middle school and high schools. But however, This one is around the world cultures. Inside these sticker dolly dressing books are stickers that go on the characters inside this book. So this is a paper doll book, but the characters have sticker dresses. This would be a great way to go ahead and have some pre-made characters that already have the actual costuming for whatever you need. And all you really have to do is, trace this outline and let the kids create what they want with the people. This one is costumes around the world. So if you're doing different, around the world things, they have a whole World War II book with all the costumes from World War II, not costumes, but the uniforms from World War II, and they go through the entire World War II from the potato peeler person to the person who's flying the airplane. So this gives you some ideas. And then also Klutz. Have you heard of the Klutz? They have in the bookstores and things, the Klutz Company, K-L-U-T-Z. They have pre-made paper dolls, but they're not paper dolls. What are they? Two-dimensional characters. And see, I just glued all of the pieces together, but you could use them to trace with your younger kids. They can trace, this is what the shirt needs to fit. You can do lots of things. It gives you an idea of what to start with if you don't have an idea of what kind of clothing to put together. And that's kind of what I did with some of these like this. This is the Klutz character with the costume. And it has shoes, and it just kind of, gives you an idea of what to do. So, yes?
What's the name of the first book?
It's U.S., it looks like Usborne, U-S-B-O-R-N-E.
It's like a home-based company.
Yeah, it's kind of like Dover, Dover Publishing.
Usborne?
It's U-S-B-O-R-N-E. And they have all kinds of these books, and usually you find them next to the sticker books when you go into the kids section where they have the Lego books and all that kind of stuff is when you find them. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and play. We good? You're good. Alright, so I'm going to get my iPad here and I'm going to set this up. Now, when you start using your iPads on here, you have to think about how your iPad is going to stand up. If you have a stand in some of our schools that are just cases to protect, they don't have a kickstand. So you have to think about, if I have just a case that protects and I don't have a kickstand, how am I going to hold the iPad up? If you have a stand or a case that has a kickstand or a way to position things, then everything's built in for you and you don't have a problem. So there's a couple of different holders that I've used. And this is a really nice metal one. And it's by Griffin Technologies. And it's nice. It's just heavy and it folds flat. I love that it folds flat. This company, Uzbel, gave me this one to try. I like it too. But if my iPad has one of those kindergarten Defender big fat cases, when you start doing this, you need to make sure that if you buy a separate stand, that your iPad fits in the stand with the protective case, because it won't fit in this one. If it has a real thick case, it tips over because it doesn't hold it down in deep enough. So if you go looking for stands, then go with that. Also, yes? I can't hear you.
Can I say something about stands real quick?
Absolutely.
One of the best stands that I have ever had for my iPad is an 18-count egg carton.
Oh, an egg carton.
18 count.
18 count egg carton.
Doesn't have enough stability to hold the iPad, but an 18 counts 3 rows.
Yes.
6. Put in the middle row.
So you put it in the middle.
Put it in the middle.
Put it in the middle.
Okay, I got a new trick.
My wife would get upset because as I'm, Saturday working around the house, I have egg cartons kind of stashed in strategic places because I would
Perfect.
sit it there and watch a TV show and then bring it to the kitchen.
That's awesome.
The dog
dollar store also has metal picture frames.
Yep.
Like viewers. I've used those.
I was just getting ready to say that.
Yeah.
So, depending on where you go, I found at the $5 and under store these really cool tighten up frames at the $5 and under store, and they're just holders like this, and they were like $2.99 or something, and I was like, okay, I'm getting a couple of those because they fold flat and I can travel with them everywhere, and they fit in my pizza box. So, and what's nice is they're adjustable, so you can have it stand up and spray, you know, as low as you want or as high as you want, and the nuts and bolts on the side allow you to reduce tension or to make them nice and stiff so they stand. I love this little idea. Got them at that 5 and under. Didn't even know that was a 5 and under store. A friend of mine found some plastic ones, and they were the book holders at the dollar store, and they unfolded flat and then they popped together. So metal ones, you just kind of check for stability. That's the main thing. And then if you have a case on your iPad, if it's going to hold and how deep that lip is. You can also decide if you wanted to use tripods and things like that. This is a tripod. I have tripod adapters. One of them is really good, one of them is not. You know, you just kind of have to play with them, and if you have a case, it makes a difference because your case makes it heavy or it doesn't allow it to connect. So there's lots of ways to do this, even with existing tripods. This little tripod right here was $2 because I find things that are cheap. And it was cool. Oh, and I just have to share these. I love sharper image stuff. But look, aren't these just cool? They're little lights. So and they really work. They're flashlights. So I use these sometimes to light the set, and it makes it look real, like real spotlights. It's just so cool. Okay, anyway, so that's that. So let's put this thing together. So here is my background. Set my background up, and we're going to do the best we can with the lighting because we're on a spotlight. We'll just deal with what we've got. And I'm going to hook my iPad up to the projector so you guys can see exactly what's going on. Maybe. Is it coming?
It may not be turned on.
It was there earlier because I connected it a minute ago.
Yeah, he was down a little bit. He may have.
Okay, well if it's not, it'll pop up, but because I wanted you to see what the program looked like while you were watching. Emerson, are you there?
Yeah, can we get this, is this projector turned off?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, you may want to, I'll head down here, you may just want to unplug it from your computer, plug it back in.
She just connected it just now.
It worked a minute ago till I ran it. Let me see if it fell out in here. No, he's got it. Because I had it turned on before we started. Remember? When you were in here, I was- Okay, so we'll keep going, but you can't see the app from here, so.
What app are you using?
I'm going to use the, it's Green Screen by Do Ink, or more commonly people just call it the Do Ink app. But Do Ink, the company, has 2 apps, or more, has more than one. So when you launch the Green Screen app, it is Green Screen by Do Ink. And it has a little pink octopus on it, okay? They also have an animation app that you can also use for this. See this? You really need to see what's going on.
Emerson, are you coming down?
Yeah, he's coming. Let me take this off and see if it's blocking it. Because I had it running through it a minute ago. Okay, well, y'all just come around. Y'all come up here. We're good. Yeah, I just did it twice. Don't worry about it. If it happens to me, I'll miraculously jump it. Yeah, that's you.
I'm gonna unplug the,
Just reset it up there.
I'm gonna unplug the HDMI or the cat wire.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll do our best. So if you guys want to come up here, at least I'm up here, you can kind of see. So I'm going to use the green screen app, and then when I go in it, the green screen by Zooming, it has like, if you think aim from an octopus, so it's that little pink guy right there. And when we launch it, it comes up with nothing usually, and then the sample project. If you need a tutorial, it comes with the tutorial, because this sample project will walk you through it step by step. But I'm just going to start a new project, and what is nice about this program, now let me show you this real quick. I play a lot with green screen apps, okay? This is one, and that's another screen. I had 2 more. And as I find them, I download them, and then as I don't like them, I delete them. This is the only one that's really stayed. And it stays for K-12. It's easy enough for little kindergartners to use, and she's shaking her head, but yet it feels complex enough for high school students to not think it's too easy for them because of what it can do for you. So I'm going to launch it. We're going to create a new project, and when the project comes up, it's going to look very easy, which is wonderful because we don't want to spend our time learning the program. We want to be able to have more time using the program for the purpose that it's intended. At the bottom, there are 3 pluses. The 3 pluses are the different layers. And this is really good because this is where, elementary, you may not get into the layering effect of all of this stuff. But in high school, you can say you have a foreground, you have a middle base layer, and then you have your background. It allows you to have a foreground, a middle layer, and a background. So if you wanted to have your people behind in a jail cell, your foreground would be the jail cell picture, okay? So I'm going to start with just the basics, which would be just an image that we're recording. Who is that person right there?
Nope.
Nope. Who just moved?
No.
You. Okay. Okay. That's okay. Yep, you got called out. I'm going to turn it like this. There. Okay, so I'm going to start with the middle section, and in the middle section, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add from the camera. If you already have something pre-recorded, you could pre-record, have something pre-recorded on the green screen and pull it in. But I'm going to pull it from the camera, and the first thing you're going to notice is you guys are all on camera. So let's turn the camera around, and very quickly you see that we are not aligned with the green screen. This is what the viewfinder sees, but this is what it sees when it's chroma keyed out. And so what you first notice is that everything that's green is now black, waiting for something to fill its space. So if I was to take this little character guy, let's see if he might be too big. Yep, he's too big, but you see how he fits in here? Let me use this little girl. At the dollar store where I live, they have an aisle of scrapbooking things, and I love scrapbooking things because they're already pre-made and pre-dressed. See, look at her, she's floating. So she's in there, but if I get over here, you see the difference. So you need to align everything up, and it might be that you have to get closer or that you need to make your board bigger, depending on the space that you're using. So here's my little girl. Whee, I'm floating. Well, she is. She's in green, but yet what you see is not. So we need to decide what we want to put back here. Some programs let you just put images. Some programs that are free want you to buy the add-on pack for the video. So then you're paying for this, then you're paying for that. I want it to be longer than 30 seconds. You're paying another $1 for the 30 seconds longer. That's one reason I like this. It is $2.99, but with your volume voucher purchasing, you're going to get it for close to half that anyway. So in the background layer, we're going to decide, do we want a video or do we want an image? Thinking of discovery. iCav Mobile, I know some of you have seen, that is a downloading user, what was the word I'm looking at? A browser that lets you download the videos straight from Discovery Streaming while you're on your iPad. If you want to do a Wi-Fi transfer or figure out how to transfer your videos into your camera roll, if you want to take videos of the kids outside, it doesn't matter, but your videos need to live on your camera roll. So I'm going to click video, and I'm going to come in here and look at my videos, and I don't want any of those. Let's see if I can find it on my camera roll. No. Let's try here. Oh, I will just use Pinocchio. So there's Pinocchio. You can play it and you can see what's going on, and we're going to use him. So now Pinocchio's, the movie of Pinocchio's in there. All right. So if I take this little girl, you'll see she's now part of Pinocchio's story. But remember, Pinocchio was a movie. So this program, and a couple of years when I did this, we were using programs that didn't let you see the moving video while you were recording, but you never knew if you were sticking your character up somebody's nose. So this program allowing you to do live, recordings with that. When I go ahead and hit record, it's going to count down, which is nice because that helps our children. You'll be able to see that the video is also moving and doing its things. Look, Pinocchio, you told a lie. Pinocchio, bad boy. And then you can see what's going on in the video while you're working through it. I've done this with butterfly life cycles. You see the butterfly lay the egg on the leaf. The next piece of discovery video is the chrysalis being formed and the pupa and the butterfly hatching and all that. So I'm going to just preview it real quick. It helps if you turn the volume up first. I'm trying to turn the volume up. Stop. Yeah. Yep, you got it. Thank you, ma'am. That was a good guess.
Excellent.
Very annoying. Why is it very annoying?
The background sound.
It's louder than I was, right. Do I need the audio of the video? Okay. You remember the editable clips? If you search Discovery for editable clips, editable clips technically means you have the rights to take out the audio. A non-editable clip means the company didn't give you permission to take out the audio, so try to stick using with editable clips or your own videos that you can take the audio out. So I don't like this. I'm done. I'm going to start again.
Do you take the audio out here?
Yes, you do. And so I'm going to say, no, I don't want what I made. I'm going to discard it. So now remember, I have layers. Okay, so the layer that has the video in it, I click on it and make sure that it's highlighted blue, and I'm going to say goodbye audio, and if my iPad didn't freeze up, which is what it usually does, because I have too many things on it, you can adjust, there it goes, you can adjust that audio level so that the audio within the movie is gone. In the past, we'd have to put it in iMovie and chop out the audio. We'd have to put it in Movie Maker, chop out the audio, re-record it without the audio, and then put it in. So it does everything here. Then also, I also have the, when I get into the camera, I didn't show you this, but you can play with the sensitivity here. This is where you can change the different colors. If I click on this video, it has sliders. So if this is not the only video I want to use, I can add another video and piece together the pieces that I need by adding another video onto the back end of it, sliding this one, making it smaller. Now, you saw this. This is the best part about this because of what it does. Well, not the best. There's a lot best. You remember the foreground piece? What is the foreground piece? The front, right? So if I wanted something in the front of this, and I'm just going to use, I don't know if I recorded it, and I'll use a video. Yes, I did. So I recorded something on green screen, and I recorded this ship. So I'm going to put it in. I'm going to use it. And I want you to watch what happens now when we make a video that has a video on a video on a video. Okay? Yeah, it's really cool. So here's this little girl. She's going to play with Pinocchio. Oh, look at the sensitivity. I moved something, didn't I? That's all right. You get the idea, right? Yeah, you get the idea. All right, so I'm gonna record this, and it's gonna go. So when I recorded that ship, it wasn't recorded correctly because of the way that the shadow was. But you see, I could have all kinds of pieces in there. In their tutorial, I'm gonna keep this saved to camera roll. And it lets you say, well, I'm here, save medium, large, and high def. So you've got all three choices, and you click save. If you go to the next level of the Do Ink programs, they have their own animation program, which makes your animated GIFs. And as long as your animated GIFs are on a solid color background, then you can take them out and they will intertwine with this. So if I look back at, I would just show you what their project looks like so you can see. So they have this animated.
Hi, you know what a green screen effect is, right? It's used in the movies to make it look like the
So this is the middle, this is the background, and there's the foreground. Look, this program for $2.99 does all of that. So whether you want to be a weatherman or you want something to interact, I met Matt Gruenberger. He does a lot of the puppetry apps that are on here. He the Three Little Pigs, and he uses a foreground set with trees and houses, and then he'll put the puppets in the middle, and then he'll put a background scene of a movie or something, a neighborhood scene in the back. Like I'm saying, if you wanted to put a house, your foreground house, your windows, there's the movie going on outside because it's raining, and your puppet needs to be dressed to go outside appropriately. You know, thinking about changes in weather and what works. So it makes it really easy, and then it saves to your camera roll. Because it saves to your camera roll, you can then export it out, you can upload it to your website or whatever you need to do.
So for the house window, you just have a house with a green window?
Absolutely. So anything you want gone, you take out that color. And make sure your house isn't green. Yeah.
Greenhouses are see-through.
Yeah, so you know, you've got your greenhouse, you can put that right there, and it's got the green window or even a cutout window over your green screen, and then you just go ahead and you play with it, and what's going through that. If a tornado is coming, and what do you do? What is the right thing to do in a tornado if your school is at a place like that? Kids can create a movie showing, using two-dimensional characters, what the right thing to do is if they see a tornado out of their window. It's just a really cool concept to think about what you can do. The settings in the Do Ink, there's lots of preferred aspects that you could go in and change. And they have their own blog and their own Facebook page, and it's the Do Ink if you just search for Do Ink. But if you also hit this question mark, you are going to get what you would call your handout papers, you know, side by side, everything you need to do and how to use it. If you can't, that tutorial is too much and you need something, then you've got this. So if you use a program that you just capture the screen, you can print out your own handouts if you wanted to do it that way. But everything's in here, and then at the very bottom, this is their animation one that you can look at and see if you want to take it to the next level. But you can create any animated thing with a green background, and it will work over that, as you saw that little boat, even though the lighting wasn't right when I recorded it. Questions? Comments? Wow. Did I
Nice.